Bipolar is defined as a disorder associated with episodes of mood swings ranging from depressive lows to manic highs. And I don't know a better way to define the Auburn and Arkansas football series, at least in my lifetime, whether it be Fred Talley running wild out of nowhere, the Hogs being the best 11 a.m. Jefferson Pilot team to ever walk the face of the earth, Auburn surviving incredible breaks like spiking the ball backwards, or blowouts by the lesser team coming into the game. This series is harder to predict than a weather in a beach town. Not a lot of people know that mixing Auburn and Arkansas football together are actually the two main ingredients to make a Four Loko. And this Saturday in Jordan-Hare, I expect nothing less. These teams find themselves in very different stages of building. Auburn in year 2 under Hugh Freeze is trying to find their footing at quarterback as the coach is trying to improve the roster around them to compete for championships, and they'll tell you they still have much work to do. Arkansas and head coach Sam Pittman are trying to turn around what's been a disappointing tenure so far by a guy who many thought would bring Arkansas to prominence. A road win by the Hogs in this game would start healing the wound of blowing the game at Oklahoma State at warp speed and would be a big step forward in Sam Pittman remaining the captain of the ship. They'd sell a lot more Razorback nuggets too. A win for Auburn could show this team may be capable of more than many think after disastrous performance against Cal in week 2. Either way, something crazy is going to happen because that's just what this game is. And like you, I can't wait. Let's walk into the asylum together. Speaking of the asylum, they let another one out. David Cohn, former Michigan quarterback, and my brother, Blaine Crain, former Western State Colorado wide receiver. David, when you look at this...
Hold on, what's on your mind?
I haven't heard the word Four Loko.
Oh.
You said it, my body.
Oh, dude. You haven't had a hangover.
Oh,
you think
poison.
wine hangovers are bad?
Poison.
You think I'd love to see Z-Biotics fight Four Loko. That would be a match. I mean, they had to stop selling it at one point, didn't they, allegedly? There was like turpentine in it or something.
You guys are the experts.
Yeah, David, don't lie. Don't cap. You know you drink it. Or you peach. You're a peach Four Loko guy.
I've never had peach Four Loko.
Yeah, all right.
I'll try it.
Anyways, Bill Clinton. I mean, David Cohn. This Auburn-Arkansas game.
Can't wait.
It's so intriguing because there's a lot of unknowns.
Yeah.
You look at Auburn. Change at quarterback. You know, the defense hasn't looked super athletic, which is weird. But to me, on the Arkansas side, the biggest question coming in with Taylon Green, you knew Bobby Petrino. I mean, he's got better plans than a great travel agent. But could Taylon Green throw the ball well enough consistently to let this offense operate at a high efficiency level, right, and not just be one-dimensional? Now, against Oklahoma State, I thought he threw the ball pretty well, about as well as you could ask him. There was one wheel route out of the backfield that he kind of underthrew, but outside of that, he made some big-time throws. Then you watch UAB, and I mean, he couldn't hit water if he fell out of the helicopter in the ocean. So the consistency level, you don't know what you're going to get. But we do know he can run. And if Auburn is going to be as undisciplined as they were, and a lot of it in the first half last week against a guy like Dan Pierre from New Mexico that can run, and you let Taylon Green get to the edges, and you don't make him cut back and stop his feet, he will run hog wild, pun intended, all over Auburn. So you don't know really what you're going to get in this game. When you look at it, what's one main thing that you're looking at maybe on each side?
Offense. I mean, that's one thing I know for sure. We're going to get a lot of offense in this game. Hugh Freeze up against Bobby Petrino, both calling plays. That's a game that I definitely want to watch. Arkansas, 648 yards of total offense in that game you're talking about against Oklahoma State. And that's a veteran group, and that game was on the road. 648 yards, but you still lost the football game. Why? Because of turnover. So that's one thing I'm particularly interested in. If Auburn, Arkansas is going to be able to move the ball. If Auburn still wants to find a way to make all of these yards that I think are going to get racked up to be ineffective, can you turn Taylon Green over?
And stop in the red zone, right? When you get
constricting in the red zone, of course. The thing with Arkansas, though, is they can score from outside the red zone. So they could score from the 35, from the 45, have these big explosive plays. All of a sudden, you look down at halftime if you're Auburn and say, well, they only got in the red zone once and we stopped them, but they still scored 28 points, right? So that's one of the things, like, to me, it's about turnovers. Can you force him either during a scramble to have a tip ball interception, maybe a strip sack? I do think Auburn's going to turn him over in this game. But on the flip side of that, when it comes to Arkansas's defense, Hank Brown did some good things last week. He was effective. He was efficient. But for him to do that, I think it starts with Auburn's run game. All right, their rushing attack.
Very true.
Arkansas only gave up 59 yards of total rushing yards to Oklahoma State, who has Ollie Gordon, who we think is one of the best backs in the country, and a veteran offensive line. I'm particularly interested to see if Auburn's going to be able to run the ball at will against Arkansas, which I do think they'll have some success, which means I like the over in the football game. I think it's at 58 right now.
I'm with you. And Auburn's going to have to lean on that run game to settle in Hank Brown because last week against New Mexico, which is a below-average defense, the pocket was clean most of the time, which makes the decision-making easier, whether that be on the RPO or whether that be straight drop back. Being able to run the ball just sets up so much more. It protects the quarterback, not even just on play action, but in general when you're able to have that balance offensively. But in this game for Hank Brown, it's going to be faster, right? Which means you're going to be sped up a little bit. The windows are going to be tighter to throw the ball in. And are his legs, can they be effective enough in the RPO game to at least be a threat?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's asking you to be Denard Robinson.
Sure.
Nobody's asking you to be Lamar Jackson. But just having the threat to hold that backside in or be able to hold that backside linebacker, whether that be a nickel, whatever, to be able to get numbers in the box that you feel good about.
And keep you out of third and long.
And keep you out of third and long,
Mexico,
which is a predictable down.
Yes, and Auburn was 5 for 10 on third and fourth down, if you throw that one fourth down in there. So 5 for 10, that's 50%, right? You're not going to go 50% if you're living in 3rd and 9 and 3rd and 10. If you compare what you're talking about to, say, LSU right now, I really like Garrett Nussmeier. I wish he were up in Ann Arbor right now, but his game is not pulling the zone read off.
For sure.
So that's really not a threat. I think you guys and Arkansas, too, they have the ability to at least keep teams honest because a 4-yard pickup off zone read, like you said, you don't have to be Denard Robinson to be able to keep a defensive end honest on a 4-yard pickup.
And stay on schedule.
Yeah.
Blaine, something me and you talked about after watching the game last week, the Auburn game against New Mexico and then against Cal. Auburn really struggles in man coverage. They've struggled, and in the second half, they made adjustments against Cal, but they were able to get pressure against Cal's quarterback because they had 3 backup offensive linemen playing. I don't expect the pressure to be at that level against Taylon Green, but I think Mendoza is a better thrower overall than Taylon Green, even though Taylon Green's a better quarterback. It seems to me that when Auburn is in man coverage, which is a lot easier to play man because, you got this man. It's not zone. You're not passing off a lot. You can pass off stuff in man coverage. But it seems to me that they struggle playing the ball. Sometimes when you're in man, and I used to tell my DBs all the time, if a ball's underthrown, that's tough. Like you're going to give that up sometimes because you're always told when you're in phase, which means you're in that back hip, when he sinks, you sink so you can get ready to turn around. Well, if it's an underthrown ball, there is no sinking of the hips. He just stops, and it's kind of an abrupt movement, and you go forward. So looking at the run game that Arkansas has, if you're DJ Durkin and you're Auburn's defensive staff, are you going to play more man? Which, if you're going to heat somebody up and put pressure on him, you're going to play man more than you're going to play zone. But if Taylon Green gets out of that and your backs are turned at DB, he can go score from 80 yards out in a heartbeat once some legs really start going.
Well, you got to pick your poison here. What is Taylon Green best at? What is this Arkansas offense best at?
Running the ball.
And that's running the football. I mean, Taylon Green's an okay thrower. I don't think he's great. I don't think he's good enough to beat you through the air. But a couple things when I look at this game, you brought up Oklahoma State, and the big surprise about Oklahoma State, even with Ollie Gordon, they're ranked 107th in the nation.
I was going to bring that up against
which is a crazy stat to say. But I haven't been impressed with either of these teams on the defensive side. But I do know who Arkansas is on offense. Auburn doesn't know who they are on offense yet. You had a new quarterback come in last week. He looked good, but this won't be the same level of athlete you're going to play this week. I think right now, if you're Auburn, what are you confident in? I look at the defense, that something has to change. It has to change, I think, schematically. I don't think you can bring 3 guys and drop 8.
And Hugh Freeze has said they're going to change that.
And drop 8 and be bad at the That's not going to work because I don't think we're that good up front anyway who's going to look that super athletic on defense. But this is going to be one of the games, okay? And we talked about this all the time. No one's going to win this football game. But you can bet your ass someone's going to lose it. You go back to Arkansas to Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State didn't win that game.
Very true.
Arkansas lost that game.
Very true.
You go to Auburn and Cal. A little bit different. I can say Cal, from a physicality standpoint, was a little bit different. But Auburn should have won that football game. You have more talent. Which team won't blow it in the big moments? Which team can limit mistakes? And that's going to come down to a lot of what the coach will allow to do from an offensive play calling standpoint.
Well, and again, I think it goes back to how much you're going to run the ball. Every coach worth his salt that is smart wants to run the ball effectively because it truly is the safest play. Now, no play is ever safe. You can knock the ball out, you can fumble a handoff, whatever. But handing the ball off is a much safer play, David, than putting the ball in the air. If I was Auburn in this game and it was me, I want to go back to a point that I don't think a lot of people are going to talk about. If you watch Taylon Green, he wants to run around everything. Mm-hmm. And he's fast enough a lot of times to get away with it, right? And when you're deficient athletically overall, which I think Auburn is, and I'm not saying that to be mean, I've got no personal animus toward anybody, but when I watch Auburn run around and move, you can understand why Hugh Freeze keeps talking about improving the roster. Auburn's got some guys like Falk, that's a really good athlete, some guys that can run around and make plays, and some guys in the future that are going to be good. But overall, they are not super athletic on defense. So you have got to find a way to keep Taylon Green, in the pocket, and when he does break out, make him break out forward. He doesn't want to do that. And when you make a guy stop his feet, we talk about this in special teams all the time, because what we do want, especially on punt, is I would draw up the returners or the gunners on the edge. When you're going to tackle the returner, you just don't run straight at him. What you wanted to do was go to his opposite side, like this, right? This guy goes to the opposite side. Why? To stop his feet. Because when you stop his feet, you keep him in the box and everybody else can rally inside. Auburn has got to find a way to rush the passer in this game and not over-rush him to let him go underneath and then outside, but also not allow him to break contain. And that is a very hard thing to do when you are going full speed. As somebody who, we're all fans of somebody, wants Auburn to win the game, make him stop his feet. That will turn 20-yard QB scrambles into 6-yard QB scrambles. And then he can't run out of bounds. He's going to have to take a hit or slide or whatever. So I don't think a lot of people are going to talk about that, but that's something that needs to be talked about.
I wonder if Bobby Petrino will use some speed sweep Q power, which is a Hugh Freeze statement.
I would.
Which we saw even Peyton Thorne having success against Georgia last year in that. Lenore Sellers this past week, that was his big touchdown, right? Speed sweep quarterback up the middle to sort of offset some of that. Exactly. For Arkansas on defense, the question I was going to ask you is, given how well they did stop the run against Oklahoma State, and Auburn didn't have a great rushing performance against Cal. How much do you think Arkansas is looking at that Cal game to implement something?
Well, I think, and it's a great question. Against Oklahoma State, you knew, and we use this term all the time, you were going to have to funnel resources and load the box and try and let Alan Bowman beat you. And their strategy was working. The problem was you threw a pick six and dropped the punt when it mattered. So in this game, if I'm Travis Williams, who's a former Auburn linebacker, I wish he was playing this weekend for Auburn, what I would do is I'm going to find if I can beat you with an even box. I'm not going to send resources out there because you're going to run your RPO game, and the more people I have in the box, the skinnier I'm going to be on the outside, which is going to make the read easier for Hank Brown. I want to give you an even look, which muddies everything up until you prove to me that you can run the ball against an even box. Then I will start sending resources to the box to stop it and say, Hank Brown beat me through the air. But why would I sit here and rob Peter to pay Paul early when I don't know if you can run it against me when all's even, right? It's a different flavor of ice cream than when they were playing Oklahoma State. So that's the way I would go about it. I think, what I'm more interested in is what T-Will's going to do on third down, and like third down of 4 and third down of 5, when you know that RPO may be coming, or you know that short game or that intermediate game. Because I know with a young quarterback, Hugh Freeze wants to give him early throws easy like he did against New Mexico. So just like as a hitter in baseball, if I know you can't find it and you want to throw fastballs to get ahead in the count early, I'm swinging early, cuz. I'm swinging out of my socks at the first fastball I see you groove right down the middle. I'm trap coverage. I'm jumping stuff underneath, right? I'm going to make you prove to me that you're a next level thinker already at this point. So it's going to be a nice chess match. Hey, what's up, YouTube? Make sure you break down that subscribe button like we're breaking down them games, because we know you love it, and we love that you love it.